All right, we are back into another video. This time, yet again, we're here for a One Piece card game video, and got a special guest. Man, he is here with yeah, I was gonna say ZEPHYR, or ZEPHYR, however you want to say it. Yeah.
I think it's ZEPHYR.
ZEPHYR Z. I got it all wrong.
Or just say Z, because everybody calls him Z.
Yeah, I think that's probably best. Well, your name is Denzel, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you pronounce your last name for me?
My name is Denzel. Is Zabaza, Zabaza. It's pretty easy.
For sure.
So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, today, well, I guess earlier today, right? We had the Carta Magica online March regional. I was commentating it, which is why I'm still dressed up like this. You can't see me, Denzel, but I'm still in my blazer. And then we were online throughout the day, and my man here went through 9 rounds, and I think you got 4th, right?
I did get 4th. I finished 4th place. Went X1.
For sure, yeah, which is awesome. Brand new leader. It is really cool just as a leader itself. I'll put it up on the screen for those who don't know. It's the black and purple one, but very cool. And you did mention that you played Yu-Gi-Oh beforehand, right? So did you play Yu-Gi-Oh long or no?
Yeah, I actually been playing Yu-Gi-Oh since 2008,
Okay.
and I left the game about pretty much last year.
Oh, okay, for sure.
Yeah, pretty much. The game just got too crazy and too much things going on, and
Dude.
and when One Piece came out, I actually love playing Hearthstone, and it reminded me a lot of Hearthstone, and that is why I'm playing this card game at the moment and not Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. I can kind of see that with the Dawn system. Hearthstone is like kind of crazy also right now. Well, I mean, it's been crazy for a little bit, but yeah, I can kind of see that. But 2008, man, that's a long time. And obviously doing pretty good here, so that's awesome. So yeah, 4th place, brand new leader. Obviously this is like for us today, it is the day of the regional. This is probably going to be released afterwards because I know you're going to be in it. Going to be in other events along with your friends, so I just want to make sure that this is out in another day. But let's talk about the deck. So we have Z as a leader, the boy with something in his mouth. I don't know if I'm gonna get demonetized if I say it, but he's very interesting, if anything. But you can explain the leader and as well as everything else.
Yeah, he's like a Sanji. He smokes cigarettes too,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so pretty much Z is a black and purple deck. I actually started the game with this game with Purple Kaido. So when I was pretty much being stubborn and didn't want to move away from purple. So when I started looking up Z, I actually started to like what he does and the cards that come with the deck, and like the cards you could use from both black and purple, and they just synergize so well. So
yeah,
that's the reason why I chose to play this guy, and I feel like he has a very good matchup with every deck. I think at the moment. Probably my worst matchup will probably be against Zoro, but I kind of built the deck around to play against like aggressive decks like Zoro, and so that way I don't struggle too much.
Okay, all right. Well, let's take a look at the deck, starting with whatever you got.
Sure. So first off, I played four of these 10-drop Kuzan. I think he's pretty much self-explanatory. You drop him, when you have 10 Don, everybody on the board gets -5, and you get to pop a card that's 0 cost or less. I think this card is like it's a very scary card. If your opponent sees this, right, in the late game, it really puts pressure on them because you could do so much with this guy and your leader. So for everybody that don't know, ZEPHYR, right? His effect is you -4 Dawn, and you get to KO a 3 or less. So that makes it easier to get rid of any problematic card that you want to get rid of, like any big guys, you know what I mean? And Kuzan just synergizes really well with him. Like you could get rid of anything you want. Like for the turn you drop a 10-drop Kuzan, you're able to get rid of pop one card and then pop another card and possibly deal damage to your opponent. So it's just a really strong 1-2 punch combo. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And next, I also played for Sakazuki. Uh, he's this card actually performed for me very, very, very well. Like he got rid of so many problematic cards that like in the early game, especially in the early game when you don't have your 10-drop Kuzan yet, he's your out to like cards like Law or cards like Yamato's. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Like with this card, being able to have this card early on in the game, you just feel safe, I guess, against um like those decks that drop like very early, like let's say Kinemon, right? For example,
Hmm.
I believe Kinemon is minus like they get to drop like heavy big guys early on because of the leader effect,
Hmm.
and then so this lets you like answer those big drops early in the game.
Yeah.
uh and then I honestly I think I used to think Queen was the best blocker in the game, but I feel like this guy right here like took that spot. Like
Yeah.
this is Borsalino. He's a 4-drop blocker. On your opponent's turn, he's 6K. One of the best thing about this card is he cannot be KO'd by your opponent's card effects,
Yeah.
and which is like most of the time is huge because let's say for example like um most of the times, if you summon Queen, most of the time, if somebody has Jet Pistol and they'll just Jet Pistol your Queen and you
Yeah.
just waste like a 5 cost for no reason. But if you drop this, he costs like 1 cost lower than Queen, right?
Hmm.
He does pretty much the same thing as Queen, in terms of being a 6K blocker and also you can push with him. But at the same time, he has a built-in protection which cannot be KO, which is really huge, especially in the late game.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because I wasn't casting. I was running the stream for another event, probably PPG a while back,
Uh,
and someone played three. It was like 2 or 3 queens in a row, and he got jet pistoled every single turn because they kept swinging with their
yeah,
lead, but they didn't put a Dawn underneath it. So
yeah, that was one of the most annoying thing I dealt with when I was playing Purple Kaido in OP1
mhm,
was this jet pistol. Every time you curve for Queen, like like against the red decks, almost like 90% of the time you take out Queen, there's gonna be a jet pistol following up the next turn.
yeah,
Like most like 90% of the time.
yeah, crazy.
Uh yeah, so next I played four drop Kuzans.
Mhm.
People underestimate this deck just because he doesn't have I mean this card just because he doesn't have a counter. But I feel like having this card out early in the game, and like it puts you in a good position. Like you're able to get rid of like cars that normally like people can get rid of in the early game, right?
Mhm.
But this with your leader or this with like a Kobe or something, usually it puts you in a good position to like stall and wait for your 10 drop. Because most of the time, right, this deck, for those who don't know, this deck is literally like a 10 drop Kuzan Turbo, right? So you want to be able to build the board, and you also want to be able to protect your guys. At the same time, you also want to clear your opponent's board, and like 50% of the time, like it's hard to just clear the board because some guys you just can't get rid of. But this helps you push, especially when you combine it with the leader effect and Kobe. And it's it gives -4 because -4 is big. People underestimate that, but -4 is really 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 big.
Yeah, that's any 7 cost with the leader effect, and that
Yeah,
is like
any
you said.
7 cost and lower,
Yeah,
it's gone. Or if you have a Kuzan, even better. You get rid of even the 10 cost cards
yeah,
easily.
and Kobe, covers that as well as far as the
Yeah,
the 3 costs. Yeah, it's really
yeah.
good.
Like I said, every card like synergizes against each other, which is what I like about this deck,
Hmm.
especially with the leader. Like any black cards with the leader is just perfect synergize.
Yeah.
I I also played for Tashigi. Um, a lot of people that I spoke to about this deck, they don't really like playing Tashigi. They played something else actually. I forgot the card's name. I think it was Sengoku
Hmm.
over Tashigi.
Yeah, I believe so.
Just because for the aggressive matchups, you know what I mean.
Hmm.
But I think Tashigi is good. You don't have to summon her, right? You could just keep her in your hand as a 2K counter since she's a 2K counter. But in the late games, right, when you want to get rid of like cards and you don't have a Kuzan yet, right, and you don't have any of the Kuzans, she actually you could just actually summon her, right? And drop her, and all you have to do is rest her, and you're able to take away like 2 costs from any of your opponent's card, which is huge.
Hmm.
And she's a 4K. You only need one Don to put on her, and you could swing if you want to. But
Totally.
yeah, she's just a. I literally use her for 2K counter and for emergency purposes. I'll use her effect.
Yeah.
All right. Next, I play for Suru. Uh, she does pretty much the same thing as Toshigi. She's a 2K counter, and at the same time, you can use her as an emergency to lower down people's your opponent's cards cost, which is which is a pretty cool toolbox, especially in the late game. But I usually just use her for 2K counters.
Hmm.
Next I play 3 Garp. Uh, This card is good, and I think he's okay. He's a good 2K counter. Usually he's always in my hand and as a 2K counter, but um he's I usually don't summon him early unless I'm playing against like Zoro or something, or
Hmm.
like usually I'll take him out with playing against Zoro because he could get rid of those low cost cards,
Hmm.
especially the 1 cost cards, and it synergizes him and Toshigi synergizes really well. Um, Also, I think he goes online the best when Kuzan is on board. So if you have Kuzan on board and you take Garp out, I'm pretty sure you could do big. I haven't done it yet, but in theory, in testing, I think it does really well in late game with the Kuzan.
Yeah.
Uh, I also played 3 Kobe. Kobe is another card like Sakazuki. You summon him on play, you trash 1 card, and you get to KO a 3 cost or less.
Hmm.
So this is good against aggressive decks like Zoro decks, and also good against green, especially against green because you could get rid of those. They summon a lot of those 1 cost blocker,
Hmm.
and sometimes when you want to push for game late game against green, usually they'll take out like 2 blockers or 3 blockers, and sometimes you need help pushing, getting rid of the blockers because you want to hit them with your big guys. So he's really good in late game to get rid of blockers. Also in early game to get rid of like Okikus and Zoros and stuff like that.
Hmm.
If you play against red, I usually hold him in my hand until I see like a Zoro or something. Um, yeah, same thing with green decks. I hold him for like Okikus and stuff like that.
Hmm.
He's good. He does things, and he's also a 1K counter, which is good. Unlike Sakazuki doesn't have a counter on him.
Yeah, that's a big part of a lot of black cards in general. You know.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think arguably one of probably the best event card in the game next to the other card that I'm playing
Hmm.
is Shockwave. I can't say I didn't like this card because it probably saved my ass like 50 times today, like
Yeah.
either throwing it off of trigger and KOing a Kiku or KOing blockers, or
Hmm.
just using him to protect your guys or protect your life. At the same time, you get to KO a 3 cost or less.
Hmm.
So I think this card for me overperformed today. Like he just I don't know what else to say. This card is just so good.
It's good to hear. Good to hear, especially being a multicolored leader. You're starting at
Uh-huh.
4, so I mean, it makes sense
Yeah,
to
pretty much.
do that. Yeah.
You wanna. Yeah, this is I told a lot of my friends this, like that plays this deck, right?
Hmm.
So they're scared to. Some of my friends are scared to play this deck just because of the 4 life, right?
Oh yeah.
But what people don't know is since you're playing black and purple, right? Two decks, you have access to like really broken event cards, and also you have access to all the 2K counters that you want. Because I'm sure like black has some 2K counters at the same time. Purple also has a lot of 2K counters,
Sure.
so I'm able to combine both. And, like there's definitely survivability in this deck. Like it could survive a lot of like aggressive decks.
Sure.
But people underestimate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all for the black cards.
Mhm.
I'm gonna show you the purple cards that I'm running. Uh, so this is probably a lot of people didn't like that I was running this card in my deck, but I feel like it's one of the cards that helped me win against red. Is the 7-drop king.
Mhm. We saw that on
So
stream, I think, a couple times. I want to
yeah,
say.
yeah. So I don't know if you remember. I think one of the games, right?
Mhm.
I thought I was going to lose. It was against the Zoro because he actually established like a really broken board with like two Makio
Yeah.
and two Zoros,
Right.
and because I top decked the king, and I was at 9 costs, right? I was at 9 Dawn,
Mhm.
so I top decked the king at 9 Dawn, right? So I was able to summon the king
Mhm.
and get rid of 2 cards, and at the same time punch another card while triggering the effect and getting rid of another 2 cards. And I was able to come back from like a really deep
Yeah.
state. You know what I mean? I was literally gonna lose that game if I didn't draw king,
Yeah.
and I was able to draw him. And not only is he good against aggressive decks, he also synergizes very well with your Kuzan, with your 10-drop Kuzan.
Mhm.
Because if you have a 10-drop Kuzan and you draw like a 7-drop king late game, you will do big things.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Two targets is really good. You add that up
Yeah,
with the leader effect, you basically clear board pretty
yeah.
easily.
So
Yeah, I
basically,
remember.
you know how he pops up 3 and 2.
Yeah.
So with a Kuzan, basically everybody's gonna be 3 and 2.
Yep. Pretty crazy.
Um. Next, I played what I thought was the best blocker in the game before his Borsellino is my 5-drop Queen. So I think everybody knows what Queen does by now. Like
Yeah.
he's one of the best blockers you could play, especially if you're playing purple. Um, there's not a lot of cards that'll let you be a big blocker at the same time dig through your deck by throwing 2 cards.
Hmm.
Um, and pretty much he does the job. And you could also he's a 6K blocker, so you could also punch with him pretty good.
Yeah. Just don't get jet pistoled.
Hey, oh yeah, that's his weakness. That's his number. That's his kryptonite. It's a
Yeah.
jet pistol.
Yeah, it
It's,
really is.
it's literally the perfect target for just jet pistol.
Yeah.
Um, next I played I don't know if other people are playing this card because I think they're playing something else over it. But
Hmm.
me personally chose. There's a reason why I chose to go with this card, which is for ulti. All right. So people I spoke to said they don't like playing this card because it has no counter, right? So basically, it's a dead hand in your when you draw it late. It's a dead hand, but I don't I don't see it that way. So the way when I was building this deck, right, the way I try to build it is right. When I look through the deck, right, there's a lot of cards that are black in the black cards that for you to use their effects, you have to trash 1 card,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So you have Sakazukis, you have Kobe's. So I didn't if you add Jack in that mix, I didn't want to have too many cards that trashes cards from my hand because
Hmm.
then that my resource in my hand.
Yeah.
So I chose to go with her because I could just what if my opponent makes me go first and then on curve 3, right? I could just take her out. She's a 2 cost, and then the last dawn will just give you another extra dawn, which lets you ramp up to even numbers because you want to be at even numbers at all times.
Hmm.
Uh, and also, I don't feel like she's brick because if you draw her late game, you could just use her to pitch as one of your trash cards for like Kobe and Sakazuki.
Right.
So
No, I think that's exactly what I was talking about on the stream. As soon as we
Hmm.
saw that versus, because I think George was talking about it, where it's like, why doesn't he play Jack? You know, why doesn't he just get
Yeah,
the counter power? And I was like, well, most likely because he's playing black, a lot of the stuff, you know, just calls for that. They're conditional effects.
yeah,
So no
yeah,
better option to just pitch something that you know you don't need, either into the late game
yeah,
or just like in general. So yeah, I mean that's perfect, man. I
yeah.
I do
That
agree with
was
that.
that was yeah. I just wanted to balance the deck. I don't want it to kill my hand too fast, and
Yeah,
at the same time, you also want to get that ramp up to even. You know what I mean?
sure.
So that way you're not behind. Um, Next I play um S- Sasaki. He does two things for me. He's a 2K counter.
Hmm.
At the same time, if you want, you could also use him to ramp up. But usually he just stays in my hand as a 2K counter and it's purple card.
For sure.
He does the job. And last but not least, I think this card is probably the MVP of the weekend for me. And I haven't seen any Z deck that runs this card. But I think people should, start looking to run this card because it's just it just does too much for you, yeah, right?
Hmm.
And that card will be Hell's Judgment,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This card, I, I, people need to play this card. If you're playing something with purple, play this card. So what this card do for this deck, right? It helps you stall for turns. At the same time, save um it also helps you save your characters, because a lot of the time when you play, right, you don't want to get when you drop bodies on the board, you want to keep them, you don't want to get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's most of the time for this deck.
Hmm.
And like this protects your monsters like no other.
Hmm.
Like being able to, it's a two. First of all, it's a two cost, right? You don't gotta discard no card. It's a two cost. Yeah, you do have to return one down to your deck, but you get to choose two characters or leader on the board, and they both get minus 3K.
Hmm.
People when they see minus 3K, they just shrug it off. But people don't know minus 3K is a lot. That's like three dons. Like if you
That's
put
three
three
cars at
don,
hand, basically.
yeah, pretty much. Like it's like like especially against aggressive decks. If you're playing, I think this is the reason how I won that Zoro matches was because of King. At the same time, um King is a 7 cost, and I was at 9 down at that time, right?
Hmm.
And then when it passes back to his turn, I was able to still have one Dawn open where I was able to protect my king from protect my the rest of my monsters from dying, or
Hmm.
just in general protect myself from the rushes that the Zoro decks play.
Yeah.
So, and his trigger effect is not that bad. I never used it. I usually just, when I see him off of life, I usually just keep him in my hand because yeah, I might up this card
Okay.
um to 4.
Hmm.
I don't know yet because I haven't really played this deck for too long. It's probably been a month, but so far I think 2 is a perfect number. And for those of you who's playing this deck and not playing this card, trust me, you do it, and you'll probably win more games. Because I've seen a lot of people, like especially my friends, they ask me, "Oh, how do you win against red? Like how's your matchup against red?"
Hmm.
Because every other deck is a good matchup for you, but when it comes to red, it's like I say 40%, 40-50% chance that you might lose or you
Hmm.
might win.
Hmm.
It just all depends on how you draw the cards and how you use them. Or should I say, it all depends on how you build the deck, right? Like
Hmm.
every good player should always look at how the deck is being run. At the same time, you also want to look at like the state of the game, right? What's being played the most. So you want to be able to build your deck to play against the top decks. Like,
Hmm.
so when I was looking at rush decks, I know I'm sure everybody knows Zoro got super strong this meta.
Hmm.
So I wanted to find a card to help me push through Zoro, and I think the 7 drop Kings and the Hell's Judgment pretty much did that job for me.
For sure.
So yeah.
It's, since we're talking about the meta, right? What did you play against? What do you remember the matchups?
Uh, yeah, I do remember. I had it written down. So basically, round one was actually a no-show for me. My opponent didn't show up.
We'll take them.
Round two, I played against Green. It was easy. Like I'm telling you right now, guys, if you're playing Z and you see Green, don't be scared. I know Green is one of the top decks and one of the hard decks to go against, but Green for us is just lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
round three,
real
go ahead,
quick,
go ahead, go
why is that? Do you feel like is it because of all the minus effects and removal effects?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, everything green takes out, you could pretty much get rid of with all the cards that you run.
Hmm.
Like, they drop a Yamato, you drop a Sakazuki, or
Yeah.
they drop a Okiku, you drop a Kobe. You'll always have answer for
Green.
for anything they drop.
Right.
And also, like, I think green deck right now rely heavily to finish their games with Odin, right?
Hmm.
So if you're able to find your 10 drop, right, that Odin, it's nothing. It's literally like paper. Like, because if you have 10 drop, I mean, if they have Odin and you drop the 10 drop, that Odin becomes 3 costs.
Yeah.
And guess what? Your leader gets rid of it for free. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
let's say if you have a Kuzan on board already, right? This is one of the best combos that I do with this deck. Let's say they drop the 8 drop, right? But you already have the 4 drop Kuzan established. So usually what I'll do is I'll swing with the Kuzan, get the -4 on the Odin.
Hmm.
So the Odin will be 6, if I'm not mistaken. No, no, it will be
Well,
a
four.
4.
It's a 4. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a 4, and then you drop and then you drop your 10 drop Kuzan, which KOs the Odin, and then Odin will then usually they'll special summon, or I mean summon from the deck an Okiku,
Yeah.
and Okiku's as you know is cost 3, and then your ZEPHYR could just swing for damage and at
Hmm.
the same time trigger effect and get rid of the Okiku.
Gotcha.
That's like the best combo you could do against Green. And usually when they see that, it's pretty much game.
It's a wrap.
Right? Yeah, so I was saying, so round one was a no show, right? Round two was against Green, it was a W.
Hmm.
Round three was actually against a mirror match. It was Z versus Z. When it comes to mirror match, it's whoever controls their Kuzan usually wins.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's hard, whoever sees the 10 drop first and then establish it and at the same time protect it is usually the person that wins. The round four was against the Zoro. That was the game that you guys saw. That was a W.
Yep.
Round five was against Green. That was an easy match. W. Round six was another mirror match. Shockingly, and I got the win on that one.
Hmm.
Round seven was against Whitebeard. I actually lost this game because of Dawn misplacement. So I misplaced my Dawn, which made me 1K short from going for game.
Um.
And yeah, he was able to block the last attack with Radical Beam, and I just needed 1K more to go to kill him for game.
I see.
Um, and then round eight was against Whitebeard again, and I won that one.
Hmm.
And my last round was against Green, and I won that one.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Awesome. I think
Yeah.
that goes through everything. I think we talked about all the rounds, card
Mhm.
choices in general. And yeah, obviously, this is gonna be posted later on, so obviously, any changes or whatever might be, null and void. But do you have any shout outs as well? Anybody you want to shout
Uh,
out?
yeah, I want to shout out my locals, which is Xenos and Gamer Choice. Um, and I also want to shout out my friends who play tested with me this week like crazy. Like we was play testing like crazy this week, and I was able to learn a lot from them. So shout out to my boy Sam and my boy Tevin, and to those who lent me cards because I didn't have a 10 drop extra 10 drop Kuzan, and he was a little too expensive to buy. So
Hmm.
my friend a friend of mine was able to lend me one, and I was able to play this game on time. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear. I'm glad about your placement. Z is an awesome leader. You played really well, obviously, and as well as it was great to see you on stream too. And yeah, man. If anything, there's a chance to answer any comments below, so go ahead and put them there. Anything else? And again, thank you again. We'll see you guys in the next one.